Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon. I'd like to acknowledge, as I talk about the work we're doing at Said Business School at Oxford University, the partnership that we have here in Saudi Arabia, and specifically the North Development Program, Sagia and the Governor, who's with us today, the trustees of the North Development Program, and Abdullah Al-Rakisa. Without these partners here, we would not be able to achieve what we've done. As you look around this room today, you'll see several tables that have the tag alumni on them. These are people who've not just been through our programs, but are individuals who are actually making impact here in Saudi Arabia. They are addressing the challenges that this country faces as it moves forward into the future. And that, for us at Said Business School, is what executive education is about. Before I jump into the main body of my presentation, I'd like to show you a video. Now, some of you will have seen this before, so please keep quiet. For those of you who haven't, please take a look. So, what you see in front of you is a group of 6 people playing basketball. I'd like you to focus on those individuals wearing black t-shirts. I'd like you, if you can, to take a pen and paper, and I'd like you to make a note of how many times the people in black t-shirts bounce the ball and pass the ball. And we'll see who in this room can be most accurate. So, we're looking at people wearing black t-shirts, and I want to know how many times they bounce the ball and how many times they pass the ball. The video lasts for about 30 seconds, and there's no sound. Run the video. Now, I'm only interested in talking to people who haven't seen this video before. So what I'd like from you is some guesses as to how many times the ball was bounced and passed. Who would like to offer some thoughts? Okay, over here.
A dozen.
A dozen, 12. Any other offers? Okay. 21, 25, 23. Okay, so what I'm going to ask is that we play the video again. And this time I'd like you to watch it as though you were watching TV. So play the video again. So what do you see that's different? The same film? Now, if you were following the instructions carefully, there was a 90% chance that you didn't see the gorilla the first time round. Now, you've been on the program and you've heard me teach, so this is why you know. But this is based on some cognitive research that's been done and which has been published, which tells us that if we are focused on the numbers, if we're focused on the deal, then even though a gorilla walks before us, we can miss the bigger picture. And for us at Said Business School, this is what leadership development is about. What we know, and what you probably are experiencing this week, is that it is very difficult to find time to concentrate, to break out of the cycle of phone calls, of emails, of the pressure that you're under, of travel, and in all of that, trying to find time to spend with your families. And we are becoming so relentlessly focused on delivery, we don't have chance to step back and understand the bigger picture that our organizations are facing. And when we look at the data, and I don't have time to go into that now, we find statistically, if you are a company, if you are successful today, in 30 or 40 or 50 years' time, it is highly unlikely that you will sustain that level of success. And all we have to do is look around at how the political world changes. And we know countries like Great Britain, where I am from, at the turn of the 19th century, were at the top of the pyramid, and we're no longer there. Change happens. So the challenge for us as a business school is how do we take the knowledge that we have locked up in all our departments about pretty much every country in the world, about all kinds of technologies, about all kinds of social change, all kinds of business practice change, and how do we take that to people who are practicing leadership management in the world? And for us, and that's why this program is so successful, it's not just about taking that knowledge and teaching it to people. What we then know we have to do to have an impact is to embed that into projects. And we've done that here in Saudi Arabia through the programs that are not just part of the Advanced Management and Leadership program, but also the program that we're running for education as well. But what we also know is that if we spend our time focusing and focusing and focusing, which we have to do, to implement successful projects, to implement successful strategies, there comes a time when we have to transform ourselves from being an implementer to a thinker, to take the bigger picture. The challenge that we see as a business school is that the companies and governments are becoming so focused on implementation that there is not the capacity within those organizations or within the individuals to go through the transformation that's required to understand how to address the bigger challenges that are taking place within the world. So, what we've done on the Advanced Management and Leadership program is begin by bringing participants to Oxford when we have already done, in collaboration with local institutions, research into the challenges that Saudi Arabia is facing. And so the foundation for our program is that context. And what we then look at is what resource do we have to create in terms of knowledge, and what resource do we have that's existing. And what are the management practices that we have researchers looking at that we can bring into those programs? And that's about opening people's minds up. It's about understanding where we sit vis-a-vis other countries. It's about understanding what are the big strategic challenges that are facing us. But it's also about understanding the role of leadership today in the world. And where has the trust gone? And where has the goodwill gone? And how is it that as individuals and as countries we can restore some of that trust and restore some of that goodwill? My view is that as the media has become more and more intrusive and has probed more and more into the myths that leaders created around themselves, leaders have to become more and more authentic. We're no longer living in a world that we once lived in, where we can separate ourselves from the people who are following us. And the challenge that we face, whether we're in a company or whether we're in an NGO or whether we are in the public sector, is how do we create around us a sense in other people that they want to follow us and follow where we want to take the organization. And I'd leave you just with one thought as I finish. Think about the people that you've worked for. Think about the people that you've worked with. In some of them, there would have been a certain quality that caused you to want to follow them. Something about their energy, something about their ideas, something about where they were taking that organization. And it would have sparked something in you. And you'd have given more than you'd normally give. You'd have worked longer hours than you'd normally work. And you may have probably worked for other people who have done the equivalent of throwing a bucket of cold water over your motivation, that have dropped your energy. And if we're to bring about change, there's three things that we need. We need both the knowledge and understanding, which I spoke about. We need to understand what the strategic projects are that we have to undertake. And more what we have to understand is how do we, as people who are charged with leading organizations, inspire and motivate others in a world where we can no longer hide, where we stand before them, and where we have to be authentic. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.